Welcome back. It is Jaws Munch, and
Battle
today we are going to be talking about the almighty solar panel. Solar panels are, from what I have seen, one of the more confusing buildings in Beyond All Reason for new players. They are not super complex in how they function, but when and when not to build them seems to be largely misunderstood by newer players when they're just getting into the game. So I want to go over them today in as great of detail as I can and give you a functionality for how to use them properly so that you can get the most out of the metal that they do cost as possible. All right, so first off, there's a couple points in your game where you will likely need to build solar panels. The first being as an opening. Okay, so let's give you an example. We're going to eat this guy. Actually, let's just degun him because we don't need him. All right, so solar panels are a great opening building for energy, and wind also can be equally good. It depends on the map. As you can see here, we have a total wind speed of 4, like as a maximum, which means that your wind is just always going to be worse than solar panels on this map. This would be what we would consider a solar map. That means that no matter what the wind speed is, you're going to always want to build solar panels because it is better. Now, other maps may have a total wind speed of up to 20 or even some as high as 25 or 30. Those would be considered exceptional wind maps where the wind speed is so good, like most of the game, that you're going to want to invest solely in wind. But a good opening when using solar panels, and this can be done at any map, on any map, just to get your metal out on the battlefield and being useful, is to build the mexes that are right next to you. So you'll build 1, 2 mexes and then just go for 2 solar panels and your factory. This would be a very standard opening that is extremely effective. You get your metal extractors, you have 2 solar panels, and then you have a factory. And the good thing about this is that this build always works. If your wind is bad, it works. If your wind's amazing, it works. And no matter what, because solar is consistent on every single map, it just always works. Now, the one negative to this is that if the wind is exceptionally good, you don't get quite as much value out of them because the wind is so good. So like if your wind speed is 20, then building 1 windmill is just as valuable as building a solar panel. Solar panel produces 20, and that wind turbine would be producing 20. The difference is, you can see here that a wind turbine only costs 40 metal, whereas a solar panel costs 155 metal. So that's a very bad metal to energy income if your wind is all the way at 20. It's very rare for that to happen, but it can be the case. Okay, so this is the most common way that you would build a solar panel and when to build a solar panel. And you will be, building construction bots and stuff throughout the game and getting all of your energy scaling. Now, in a situation when your wind is good, and to check to see if your wind is good, all you have to do is mouse over it and you'll see it says wind speed should be above 5 in order for it to be better. So it says it is better to build solar collectors when the average wind speed is below 5 for Armada or below 6 for Cortex. So if your average wind speed is below that, you have to build solar in order to be efficient. Whereas if it's above that, you want to be building wind turbines as the most efficient form of energy. So if the map generally is more efficient and you have your energy income built, say that you took your construction unit and you built a big row of wind turbines, and now you have tons of wind turbines, guess what? These are now obsolete because you opened with them, you already used them effectively, and now they are just a solid store of metal. And your wind power is more efficient because it's above that range that it makes it more efficient. All right, so at that point, you should probably get a Lazarus or one of your construction units to go and just reclaim these solar panels. And then from reclaiming them, you get all of that metal value back into your economy to spend on something that's more efficient. And this is how solar panels, especially T1 solar panels, should be used and need to be used more often. You generally don't want to leave these into the late game at any point if you can help it. If at all possible, the maximum time you should keep using them is right up until your fusion is built. And after the fusion is built, getting rid of these completely and putting it into a fusion reactor or putting it into something more valuable is almost always a better option. Now, here's the nice thing about solar panels in comparison to wind. When you are reclaiming something in Beyond All Reason, you get back all of the metal value. You do not get back your energy value at all. So once something is built, the energy value is never able to be gotten back from it in this game. So that is where the solar panel is exceptional in the fact that, look closely, it costs 0 energy to build. So you can put one of these down and guarantee you get the exact same value from it that you invested into it. This means that it's a very safe investment, even if it's not exceptionally efficient. Okay, so a great time to do this is when you're going T2. T2 is extremely energy dense and can cost a lot of energy to get going. It costs 15,000 energy. And this can lead to energy stalling, where you have the metal, but you do not have the energy. And this is especially common if you did not get energy storage. So you can see our energy is dwindling quite rapidly here, as we have the metal still somewhat there, but the energy is dwindling faster. And this is exponentially worse as you have more build power put onto the T2 factory. So this would be a great time for you to spam out more solar panels. Okay. Now, the reason why spamming out T1 solar here would be good is because it doesn't cost any energy to build them. Power. So you're getting all of that energy value, or all of the metal value, and you're not stalling out on metal, but you're stalling out on energy. So you're not spending any energy to get more energy back, if that makes sense. You don't have to spend energy, but you get energy back for it so that you can put it into something that is very energy dense that you are using. All right, so another thing that can be an exceptionally good time to start building T1 solar panels would be right after you get your T2 construction unit. Because your T2 construction unit should be one of the first things you try to get after building your T2 lab. And you should be able to go and upgrade your metal extractors. And you want to do that as quickly as possible. This would be your T2 metal extractor. And they cost a ton of energy income. Now, this energy is going to sap away at your economy very rapidly. So this is a great time to spam out T1 solar panels as well. Because, once again, energy starved, but metal like overflowing. You have plenty of metal, but no energy. Build a bunch of T1 solar panels to get that energy going up as quickly as possible without creating an energy deficit in your economy. All right, so then we'll be able to get this out just a little bit faster by putting some T1 solar panels down. And keep in mind, you're retaining all of your metal value. You're just putting it out on the map so that you get it, so that you're able to produce that energy a little bit faster. So you could even grab one of your butlers and during this transition, just spam a bunch of them with your butler too. Since butlers are exceptionally fast with really good build power, they should be able to get them out relatively fast as well. So that's a great time to build T1 solar panels as well. At a certain point though, when you have built enough metal extractors that are T2, you should transition into a fusion reactor, because fusion reactors will essentially solve most of your energy deficit issues right off the bat. And since you have that metal income from the T2 metal extractors, you can actually afford the fusion reactors relatively easily without too much cost, honestly. So these are just some of the basics of T1 Solar. Use them as a buffer when your energy needs are in high demand and your metal resources are very exponential. You have tons of it at your disposal during these transitional periods. You should, honestly, in Bar, you should be able to acquire a decent amount of metal if you do handle your frontline properly, if you focus on your metal extractors being claimed throughout the map properly. You really should have a decent amount of metal at your disposal a large portion of the time. And during these key moments, during transition to T2 and while upgrading metal extractors, that's when you're going to see a massive sap in energy and have a decent amount of metal at your disposal. So those are really the two times that I would build them. Any other time, I would try to reclaim them and put them back into your economy in some other form of energy production. Now, one more thing I wanted to mention is the reason why wind turbines
On this map, wind
are
is
not
good for energy production.
Thank you, Allison. I appreciate that. Yes, because we have 4 wind speed. She's yelling at me and mad. Anyway, so one of the reasons why wind power is not as good for an emergency energy income is because you invest more energy into the wind to build it. It costs 175 energy to build 1 wind turbine, which it's not really a hefty investment in energy, but it is less efficient if you're going to rapidly reclaim that building, like within minutes. You know, if it's a temporary thing to get your fusion reactor up, I would not recommend just building a ton of wind turbines just to reclaim them 5 minutes later. I'd rather build a ton of solar panels to reclaim them 5 minutes later. That way I am able to retain all of my value that I possibly can. Now, this is kind of a little bit more of a pro strategy, is using them as a buffer in this way. I'm just trying to help the newer players out there to keep in mind that these are not efficient and they are used largely as a transitory item unless it is specifically a map where you can only build solar panels to maintain your energy. Okay, so just basic summary: follow the guide that is given to you by mousing over wind speed. If the wind speed is below what it states here, then don't build wind and instead build solar panels. If it's barely above, like maybe 6 or 7 wind speed for average, it gets a little iffy. You might want to mix solar panels and wind turbines, especially if there's lots of metal at your disposal. And then use them as a transitory item to get a surge of energy when you have lots of metal to spend and you're really hitting an energy deficit for some reason. Okay, hopefully this was valuable. It's actually a lot of stuff to go over for just something so simple in Bar, and I hope that you guys get some value from it. If you do, please like the video, share the video, and subscribe if you haven't for more tips like this for Beyond All Reason, and I will see you guys on the battlefield.